So today we're going to be talking about Edward Hopper, and in particular this painting that he made, Sunlight in a Cafeteria. And I thought it would be fun in a way to talk about Hopper right now because his paintings are really all about social distancing and understanding the way that people relate to one another even when they're not in the immediate presence of someone else. So he's thinking a lot about relationships and about the possibilities of relationships, especially in a context in which you can't actually be with the person that you're thinking about. So a little bit about Hopper. He was very active in America during the 20th century. He spent a lot of time actually in Paris studying and learning from the abstract painters who were really at the forefront of the modern art scene at the time. And he came back to the States and basically completely rejected everything that the abstract painters were doing in Europe. And he is what is often referred to as an American scene painter and part of the realist movement. And so he's trying to show us what life is really like, as opposed to giving us a sense of abstraction that was really dominating the art world at the time. And so when we look at his paintings, we have recognizable characters. We're able to read emotion and expression on people's faces. They're in real and not imagined space. But even with all of that realism, there still is a sense that the things in his paintings don't quite cohere in the way that traditional realist painting does. And so he's very concerned with creating spaces that aren't quite natural. And we're going to see that in this painting here. So to just quickly start looking at this painting, we're in a cafeteria. We have a woman sitting here and a man sitting here. Oftentimes, Edward Hopper's wife would be the model that served as female subjects in his paintings. And so we see himself reflected in his work in that way. And we'll often see this same woman with a blue dress in a series of his paintings. And sometimes she's not necessarily wearing the blue dress, but the dress is present in the scene, giving a sense of continuity and that Hopper's creating an entire world that his characters inhabit. So we have these two people here, and there's a sense of missed connection, if you will, between the two of them. They're both alone at different tables. The woman is looking down at her hands. She's sort of fidgeting with whatever it is she has there, while this man is off trying maybe to catch her eye. Maybe he recognizes her or wants to start up a conversation with her, but we have a sense that the two of them are not really going to be able to connect. There's a really strong sense of a potential for a relationship here that's not actually being fulfilled. But then if we look across from this woman over here, we can see what I think is a salt and pepper shaker. It's sort of hard to tell on this table over here. And as opposed to this man and woman over here, the salt and pepper shaker seem to be embracing one another. And so it's bringing out a stronger sense of contrast of the potential of what could be if these two people were to end up sitting together at the same table. But as we said before, Hopper's worlds are never entirely real. There's always a sense that something is a bit off in them. And that is, again, the case here. So I think the thing that's most immediately noticeable is this giant window over here with the light beaming through that seems to have no glass pane in it. There's nothing differentiating against the windowsill between the interior and exterior world. The space is entirely open and exposed to whatever's happening outside. We have the light that's streaming in through here and then perhaps is ricocheting off this corner here and then catching again on the wall over here. But if we think about the way that light streams through a room, the light shouldn't be moved up, and besides, it should still continue to be lower than it was before. So light, even though it's present, isn't functioning in a natural way, in the way that we would expect to see light functioning in the world. And then as our eye follows this light down, we notice this very strange door here that, again, if the light is functioning the same way as it is in this window over here, we would expect that this revolving door would have light streaming through the glass panes that we're able to see, but it's totally dark. And if we look even closer at that door, we notice that the door doesn't even seem to go to the outside. So we have this rotating door to nowhere that in a sense is trapping these two people in this room together. The potential of escape is sealed off by the fact that the door doesn't actually go anywhere. And I think what's really interesting to think about when we're looking at paintings by Edward Hopper is that he's not trying to construct a scene for us that he's imagined and wants to show, but he's creating a setting in which we can imagine a scene unfolding. So he's creating the stage in which our imaginations can enact a play. So he doesn't necessarily have an intention of what happens with this woman and this man. He's giving us a space in which we can imagine what happens to them next, and we can place ourselves into this space. And we have that not only in the sort of imagined, non-real essence of the space, but also the way that the space is framed in the picture. So we're not looking down at these people, we're not looking at them from outside of a window, but we're standing right inside the restaurant with them. We can imagine even that we're a server walking down this aisle, that we're going to bring food to one of them or pick up this glass here, whatever it is that's in front of her. The painting is inviting us to take an active role in the scene that we imagine unfolding here. And I think personally, this past week has been week 5, I think, that I've been isolated here in Oxford. And thinking about this picture and sort of the imaginative space that it provides me has been a nice way of stepping outside of my own space and experience here and allowing myself to think about what relationships are and could be in an imagined space that we're going to return to hopefully in the very near future. So I hope that that provides a little comfort to you. I know it did for me. I just love looking at these paintings. Hopper just has really such a strong capacity to capture emotion even in an empty scene. And so we have a sense here that we can understand and relate to these people, and we can really put ourselves in their shoes. I think we've all been in a position where maybe we had a hard day at work and we stop and get a drink or a cup of coffee on the way home, and we're just sort of sitting alone and don't really want to be bothered. And then there's someone there who seems like they may or may not recognize us or want to come over and say hello, or maybe we do know them and we're going to strike up a conversation, or are trying to avoid them. And all of these different scenarios have the potential of playing out in this scene that's created here for us.